With us now, Democratic strategist Kurt Bardella, political consultant Shermichael Singleton. Gentlemen, good to see you. All right, so Kurt, this not a problem for Democrats.
No, it's not a problem for anybody. I mean, listen, the last guy, if I recall, pardoned Roger Stone, Paul Manafort, Steve Bannon. I don't remember Republicans giving a crap about pardons back then, so I don't think this is a political issue at all. And oh, by the way, this president's not going to be pardoning his own son. That's off the table. This is only a hypothetical question coming from the media for some reason. I don't know why. No one has ever suggested that he would pardon anybody in this situation. Right now, the lead Republican for president is saying he's going to pardon January 6th insurrectionists. Come on.
But Kurt, this completely defangs the White House from being able to make cases about Donald Trump that saying, hey, vote for Joe Biden because Joe Biden is Mr. Clean and Donald Trump is a criminal.
Right.
Okay.
That's still true.
They can't say that anymore.
Sure they can.
Oh.
He's not pardoning. If he pardoned his son, I would agree. That would take that away. But he's not going to pardon his son, so he's not doing the criminal corrupt thing, and he's not abusing his power.
Let's be honest here. If Donald Trump was asked if he were to pardon one of his children,
he would say, yep.
Democrats, CNN, MSNBC, networks that you and I have both been on, would have a field day with this. And
because he would do it. Because he would do it. That's why we would have a field day with it.
Number two. The president has stated his son did nothing wrong. He wasn't a part of all of these various conversations. We're now finding out, Leland, that probably isn't true. And so this idea of Joe Biden being Mr. Clean, above the law, doing everything correct, his children are great, his family is great, I don't know how true that is.
I'm shocked that Joe Biden didn't throw his son under the bus. Boy, that's really surprising.
I'm not saying I'm surprised.
What a rotten father.
Any father would stand up for their son. I'm not negating that.
I think the last guy would throw his son under the bus.
What I'm saying is Democrats have painted Joe Biden and his family as this perfect picture president. And that is not true. And I think that does matter.
I think that they paint him as a person that has actual integrity, has real family values, unlike the last guy.
While his son is calling him while trying to make a deal?
Listen.
That's integrity?
I think integrity is standing by your family. Standing by, aren't you guys the ones always talking about family values and stand by your family? Wait a second.
Hold on. This is a real issue, though. When you stand up in front of the American people, okay, and you say on a debate stage, in a presidential debate stage, my son didn't get any money from China. It turns out he did.
He lied.
Okay, when you say that's different than standing up for your son. And to be fair, the White House now has had to walk back so many of the things President Biden said about Hunter Biden's business dealings. And we'll go through what Joe Biden said and how the White House has now changed. Take a listen.
Can you say specifically that the president did not have discussions of any kind with Hunter about his business dealings?
As you mentioned, I was asked this question multiple times on Monday. Nothing has changed.
So you said that nothing has changed when you were asked about the president's previous remarks on his son's business dealings, but the language has in fact changed.
He'd asked me a million different ways on this question. Nothing has changed.
Yeah, right.
Nothing has changed.
Well, but Kurt, something has changed. It went from Joe Biden saying, I never discussed my son's foreign business dealings, to he said now the White House has to say he was never in business with his son. That's a big difference.
I think we're talking a distinction without a difference, actually, here. I mean, and I think about there's been this litany of investigations led by Congress and obviously Justice Department about Hunter Biden. And with all the investigations, all the hearings, all the pronouncements that we've heard from Republicans in Congress particularly, there has not yet been one single shred of evidence that has shown that President Biden was involved in his son's business deals. That's just a fact right now.
But what it does show, Kurt, and there's a lot of data, focus group information that a lot of Americans, especially swing voters, don't like children of powerful people benefiting from their parents' positions.
Sure.
The American people do not like that.
Right.
And maybe we can't find evidence yet, but what we do know is clear. Hunter Biden absolutely benefited from his father being vice president, and he's probably still benefiting from
I hear that. What's interesting to me, though, is that there was a Republican congressman who's just asked yesterday, do you talk about Hunter Biden in your district? He said, nope, I sure don't. No one is talking about this in their districts. No Republican is talking about this in their districts. The only place where this conversation happens, really, is in Washington. Voters at home don't give a crap about Hunter Biden.
But does it not matter? We talked about integrity. Does it not matter?
What a private citizen does? No, I don't give a crap.
So it doesn't matter if the president's son is leveraging his father's position for business? We're talking about integrity here.
Yeah, we are. And I think that when we're talking about someone who was a private citizen, didn't work in didn't work in the West Wing, didn't trade government favors for anything. There's no proof that the president There's no proof that the president knew anything.
Come on,
you can't compare that to Jared and Ivanka, who worked in the White House, worked in the West Wing, got $1 billion from Saudi Arabia when they left.
And they're still getting screwed.
I don't remember getting charged. Where's the FBI?
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.